Hello everybody, this is Mommy with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we are going to make an arrangement from our color wheel. So back last year we did a color wheel series where we did different colors, different shades, and we looked on the color wheel for our colors. So today we're going to do a triad contrast, and so that is 3 colors that are equally spaced from each other on the color wheel. So our colors that we chose, I actually asked Maggie, our intern, to choose some colors for this arrangement, and the colors she chose are a violet red, and an orange red. So we've got lots of pretty flowers here, and we are going to do a triad color scheme. We're gonna start out, I always think it's so fun to play with color. I don't know about you, but color is so much fun. And so today we are going to start out with a cube vase. And I'll show you really quickly. Oop, I dropped one on the floor, but these are the flowers that we're going to use. So we've got some pink roses, a pink Floyd rose, an orange spray rose. These are Orange Babe spray roses. We've got beautiful purple larkspur and purple dyed solidago. And then more purple, kind of purples and the pinks, some pink, pretty pink tulips, some plum purple mums, and then also some beautiful plum or purpley colored Scabiosa. So we're gonna start out adding greenery to our container. Again, this is a cube vase. I'm gonna start out with a little bit of Floral. So Floral is called lemon leaf. It's a fun foliage. I'm gonna take my floral knife and I am going to take my stems of Floral, cut them at an angle, and I'm gonna tuck them right down in my vase. So what I'm gonna do, often you've seen me use this vase and I've done a grid on the vase. Today, I'm not gonna do a grid. I'm actually going to use the stems of my foliage to give us somewhat of a grid. So I'm just taking this foliage, cutting that stem at an angle, and tucking it right in. Now, anytime you have foliage that might fall below that water line, go ahead and remove the leaves that might fall below the water line, and that way it won't cause bacteria to grow in your water. It just aids, the foliage in the water just aids in the growth of bacteria, so we try to keep those leaves out if at all possible. So I'm just taking these leaves. All right, so there's our Floral. I'm gonna set the rest in a bucket over here. Next I'm gonna come in. This is actually some foliage that grows in our yard. I don't even know the variety, so if you know the variety, tell me. It's just a fun little light green foliage. I'm going to strip off the bottom leaves and tuck this in. So anytime you're cutting foliage from your yard, make sure that it's going to hold up in an arrangement. This actually does. It holds up beautifully. So you're just going to take it, cut it, and drop it in water. Set it on your table and just watch it. If it holds up really well, then please use that in floral arrangements. You'll know very quickly if it's not gonna hold up. But it's always fun to be able to go out and harvest fun materials out of your yard to be able to use. So I'm just taking and stripping that foliage off and nestling that right down into that vase. So there's that foliage that I cut from the yard. And then this is called Israeli ruscus. I really like Israeli because it's inexpensive. It's a really great greenery to just kind of fill in. It's a different texture and a different color, so that's kind of fun. So if you know me, you know that I like to work with foliage. So that's the reason I'm using several different types of foliage. And what this is doing, because I'm adding so much greenery, it's giving us a really good grid in this container. Okay, and then I have some eucalyptus we'll use at the end. But there is our foliage in our container. Next, we're going to come in with our mums, because our mums are going to be a, I would call them a mass flower. So it's a heavy flower. And what I mean by heavy is, it is large. So it's going to look heavier than other flowers, right? I'm going to take my stem and I'm going to remove the foliage off that stem. I'm going to cut that using my floral knife. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle. And I'm going to tuck it right down into the center of that container. The center of that greenery. Strip off the rest of the foliage on the second stem. I'm going to leave it just a smidge longer. And I'm going to nestle him into that foliage too. So I nestled those two mums right down into the greenery. Next I'm going to come in with this pretty solidago. So how fun is this purple painted solidago? So we got this in this week because it is prom season and we needed a foliage that was different colors. And so how fun is this? So I'm going to take that solidago and I'm going to strip some of those leaves off of it. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle. Now the one thing about aster, solidago is an aster, it's long lasting. Especially when it's painted like this, it'll last forever almost. And so it's kind of fun to use something that's going to last a good long time tucked into an arrangement. Sometimes when you design, your mind thinks that you're going to do it one way and then you change it mid-design. Next we're going to come in with these beautiful pink Floyd roses. So what I'm going to do is remove any of the foliage that might fall below that water line, and I'm going to take off any of the petals that don't look pretty. So this petal's called the guard petal, and it's kind of wrinkly, it's not as pretty, but it's really meant to guard the rose. It just takes care of the flower. I'm going to take my floral knife and cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to nestle this beautiful rose right down into this arrangement. Now when you're pulling those petals, you're not hurting that rose at all. So don't feel like, oh, if you pull those petals off, it's going to hurt the rose. It really doesn't, okay? Just remove any of them that don't look pretty. They get bumped and bruised, especially when they're shipped. They will get some bumps and bruises. But often colored roses don't show the wear and tear that white roses do. So if you look at a white rose, often you'll see it seems like they get bumped and bruised more, but they really don't. It just happens to be that white shows any kind of bumps. And you can see I'm just kind of working those roses right down into that vase, and they're just kind of standing. I'm not having any issues with them staying in place because we made our grid with our foliage. All right, there's our roses. So just a beautiful pink rose. Next, we're going to come in with these pretty orange. So here comes our third color in our triad. We used our purple mums and purple solidago, our hot pink roses, and here is our orange. And how pretty is this? It's such a pleasing palette. It's very pretty together. So I'm going to take, and that had a broken rose, so I just popped that right off. Remove some of that foliage, and then I'm going to take my floral knife. Cut that stem at an angle. And I'm just going to nestle these pretty orange just right down in. So you can see it's kind of a compact arrangement. but all this color makes me happy. I don't know about you, but what is it about color that brings such joy? It really does. Okay, next I have these gorgeous tulips. Now here's where our texture and our shape is really going to take place. Tulips have such a lovely texture. Now the one thing about a tulip you have to be careful about is when you first make your arrangement, tulips continue to grow. It's a fun fact about tulips. You can cut them, and if you watch them, you'll have them kind of short and compact in an arrangement, and they begin to grow. They continue to elongate. Their stems do. And so when you're making an arrangement, you always have to take into account that these tulips are going to continue to lengthen. So I'm going to take my floral knife, and I'm going to just nestle these fun tulips right down into this arrangement. Now I want it to have some movement, and I think these tulips do exactly that. They almost feel like they're just growing right out of this arrangement. So just such fun, pretty, pretty flowers. And it's almost as if this tulip is a cross between this purple shade and that pretty pink rose. And I love the light green of the stem on the tulip because it kind of pulls the light green from the foliage. Just so pretty. Okay, so there's our pretty tulips. Next we're going to come in with Scabiosa. Now Scabiosa is one of my favorites, and let me tell you why. If you have seen many of our videos, you'll see our little gray cat who will climb up on the table while I'm designing. His name is Osa, and he was named for this flower here. So this is a purple Scabiosa. Now they come in other colors, not just this pretty purple. They come in pink, and they come in a soft lavender and some white, but it is so pretty. So we're going to add a little bit of this Scabiosa, and we're going to leave some length just because it's just so fun and pretty. And kind of let them peek up out of this arrangement. Now they have tiny little, little stems, Scabiosa does. I mean, when I say little, really, really small. I don't know if you can see that. And so they come, when they ship them to us, they come with a little straw on them to help hold those little heads up. I just leave that little clear straw on the stem because it's not hurting anything, and you can't see it. Now sometimes, like Gerbera daisies also come with that straw, but they're kind of chartreuse green, and I don't love that, so I always pull those off. But with Scabiosa, I leave the stems, those little straws on. Okay, so there's our flowers. Our flowers are in place. Again, we did a triad color scheme, meaning 3 colors, okay? Now to finish off this arrangement, I'm gonna add a little bit of eucalyptus. So this is called baby blue or spiral eucalyptus. And I am going to take my knife, I'm going to cut these little laterals right off. I'm going to strip off that foliage, and I am just going to add, that's a little long, so I'm pulling him out. You can always stick it in and see if it's too long. So I just tucked that right down into that arrangement. Now I love texture, and to me foliage gives us exactly what we need when it comes to texture. It gives that pretty different shade of green and lots of pretty texture. So tell me what you think. Do you like the Triad color scheme? Do you like to use 3 colors in an arrangement? Do you like 2 colors or just 1, like the monochromatic? I think color can be so fun, and you can be so creative when it comes to color. But I do love this one. Maggie did a great job choosing these 3 colors to go together. I think it's so pretty. All right, there you have it. Tell me what you think. Do you like this color scheme? If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button down below, and if you'll hit that little bell, it'll give you a notification for when we have a new video. Guys, have a great day. We'll see you soon.